Hey guys.
So today we're going to give you some tips for teaching English in China, which is what we do. We've been teaching here for
About a year and a half.
And yeah, we like it.
So these are just some tips that we feel as though they'll be quite useful for people that are coming over to China to teach English for the first time. So yeah, would it be nice if someone just tap us on the shoulder and just remember
Hey,
these?
this is what's up.
So the first tip that we'll probably say is just be professional. The companies that you are working for or the schools that you are working for are expecting you to be professional and to actually uphold a certain standard.
They're real businesses, and I think it's so easy to forget that when you go on a working holiday. Number 2 is you have to remember to be extra affectionate towards the kids, because in the West I feel like it's not really something we do. Like, you wouldn't really run up to a kid and hug them and then fuss over them. In China, it's important that you really fuss over the children, because if you don't, the parents think that you don't like them.
Because in China, children are actually pretty much the center of the universe. They're getting a lot of affection from basically everyone around them in their immediate family, and so that's from their parents and their grandparents from each side. So that's from 6 people there. They're basically the sun. So
the sun. Oh, like S-U-N, not S-O-N.
Yeah.
Well, they might be the sun also.
Yeah, the center of the universe. They are, but basically, yeah, they receive a lot of attention.
And if you maybe treat them in a way you would treat a Western stranger's kid, maybe, yeah, they're just not so sure if you like them. They might go home to mom and be like, my teacher doesn't like me, and then you'll be like, but you're my favorite. How could you not think I like you? And yeah.
Yeah, because that happened to a friend of a friend of a friend.
A friend of a friend.
Yeah.
It may have happened to me when I first started teaching. My favorite student did not know that I liked them, and I was just like, but I love you. But yeah, so you just have to be extra affectionate.
The last point kind of delves into the next point as well, which is just basically know the culture, know what you're sort of getting into. Know that basically understand why the children are actually the center of the universe, because there was a one-child policy that was installed for about 30 years. They've changed that, so now you can actually have 2 children only very recently.
Oh, and if you are a Chinese person living in China, and maybe you haven't heard about this, we just want to let you know that you now can have 2 children. And I think you know what that means. You get to have sex twice.
Oh, I guess subtlety is not someone's strong point.
No, I'm letting them know. Just in case Is that where we've ended point 3?
I think so.
Okay, well, maybe not. So, tip number 4, pick your battles. So, in China, a lot of things are done differently. Unlike in the West, where it might feel a bit more collaborative in the workplace, in China, it's very much like there's the boss, and due to like saving face, like people don't want to be embarrassed. Embarrassment is like terrible here, apparently. I don't really care that much, but to the Chinese people, they don't want to be embarrassed. So if you maybe disagree with something, or you think something is a little unfair, don't maybe say it in front of everyone. Just like pull them aside afterwards and ask them about it. And otherwise you might get a very I don't know, they just might be offended. And also, like, if it is something, maybe if it's something small and it doesn't really affect you, like, do you need to complain, or can you just like let it slide? If it's something big that directly affects you, then yeah, like talk to them privately about it and see if maybe you can change it.
The last one is have fun.
Oh,
yeah.
Have fun.
Have fun.
Have lots of fun. Especially if you're now a Chinese person who can have 2 children. With other Chinese people, not with... It sounds really weird. I didn't mean it to sound that way. I mean...
So we
Chinese people can now have fun twice.
No, okay. You're designated to have fun at least twice in your lifetime. Okay.
But maximum twice. At maximum.
At a minimum.
You decide. Anyway.
Basically, the last point I can actually say is have fun. By this I mean you need to be able to, don't try and be too stiff in your class, because depending on the class.
Unless if you're a child. Sorry, I'll stop.
Someone has something on the brain right now.
No, I don't.
Yeah, says the girl giggling. What I was trying to say is just have fun in the classroom, because if you can't have fun and be yourself in front of 4 or 5-year-olds, you're going to find it very difficult to teach. So just relax, be yourself, and just kind of, I don't know, just be a little goofy.
Yeah, and if you try and be goofy and they just don't think you're funny, it's okay. They're going to forget it in like 5 seconds anyway.
Yeah, because they'll be off to their 7th extracurricular activity after that. So
those poor kids. But actually, I think this might be another thing to note in general. Kids in China are very... I don't know if they're all stressed, but I feel like they're put through a very stressful educational system. So you want to be strict with them, but maybe don't be too hard.
Yeah. So this is actually probably something that I really wish I actually knew beforehand, was classroom management, actually. In terms of classroom management, you don't want to be too soft and too lenient when you first come in, because otherwise it's as opposed to the other way where you're actually more strict, and then you become more lenient. Because if you're too lenient to begin with, it's very hard to actually get them to follow your rules in your classroom, and actually perform and behave in a certain way that you want them to, because they become too used to your style, and they're very reluctant to change. So I would say be a little bit more strict, and don't be afraid to discipline them.
You should make sure that you treat your students equally. Like, there's always an annoying kid who is constantly naughty in class, but make sure if your favorite does something wrong, you should treat them the same as you would the naughty kid, because they do notice, and you can see their soul like silently dying when they see you treat.
Away.
Yeah, they notice.
If we've made teaching in China sound absolutely horrible, it's not. It's just these are just general tips that are handy and generally good to know. If you do teach well, the kids will like you, the parents will like you, and they give you gifts. Like I was just given this rabbit not too long ago from one of my students. Normally they give you food. If the students and the parents like you, they do show it.
Stephen got a cake. One of his students made him a cake, and he drew a picture, and it was like, because Stephen has the fringe, they all know him by the fringe, and the tank had a Stephen head and the fringe, and then it was like shooting little Stephen heads as its bullets. It was really cute.
Yeah, it was a Stephen tank shooting Stevens. Alright, I believe that's everything that we can say, and we actually gave you some extra tips, and we also got to show you a cute little rabbit.
Yeah. Oh! Okay. So I hope that was actually helpful and not just like full of fluff.
Okay, alright, we'll get going and we'll talk to you later. This is another gift that we got later somewhere else. It's a bulldog. Alright, bye guys. Lexi.